kid on the cell phone over here. We on?
Yes, you are.
Okay, good. I'd like to welcome our guests. Anybody this morning besides David? You guys are here to talk a little bit about our contract with,
It's
I'm
under
trying to think of the name.
6D. It's under 6D.
60.
Line partner,
I can't even remember all that name, excuse me, guys.
Blair
Anyway,
Flores.
they collect our taxes that are delinquent forever, and they've done a great job. Okay, David, y'all have the floor.
Good morning, Mr. Starks, members of the board. My name is Jose Padilla. I'm one of the partners with the law firm of Landauer, Galvin, Blair and Sampson, called LGBS. And so today we are here prepared to give you a brief report, which I believe has been handed out to the board after our collection activities for the period of July 1st to June 30th, I'm sorry, July 1st, 2013 to June 30th of 2017. Our current contract with the Water District was for a 5-year term that is becoming due here in the next few days. I believe the last day of the contract is August 14th of this year. And so we are here today humbly asking for the board to consider renewing the contract for another 5-year term so that we can continue doing your delinquent tax collections as we have been doing now for years. I would also like to introduce my colleague at the law firm, Mr. David Flores, who's been around for a couple of years with the firm, and I'm pretty sure that some of you are familiar with him. He's been around just a little bit longer than I have.
He used to have hair.
Well, hopefully I will come back in 5 years and I'm going to sit but I've been with the firm now for going on 16 years, and so for 16 years I've been personally representing you in delinquent tax collections. I believe the report is pretty self-explanatory, so I just kind of wanted to give you a brief outline as to what we actually do for you. And so whenever your taxes go delinquent, those are turned over to us after Rose has taken a stab at trying to collect them, and they, just don't get the owner's attention that they owe the delinquent taxes. Those get turned over to us. So what we do is we start mailing campaigns and call campaigns to get the people's attention to try to come and get them to pay. And when we're dealing with your accounts, they're relatively low accounts, and so we try to avoid litigation as much as we can. But litigation ultimately becomes a necessity for us to be able to get the person's attention. Typically, a water district lawsuit is going to also involve the property taxes. The owner goes delinquent on the property taxes, and there's a little bit of a difference between what's called your ad valorem taxes, which is you own the land, and so the appraisal district assesses you a value, then the tax collector assesses you taxes, and you have to pay those. As opposed to the water taxes, which are your use taxes, which are treated a little bit differently, but in the collection side, they fall under the same provisions of the tax code, where we can file a lawsuit and do a foreclosure. There are 2 avenues of relief for the district. The first one is to take what's called a personal liability judgment against a person, saying you owe this personally, so we're going to take a judgment. After we serve them with process, we go to court, we take a judgment, present the evidence. After presenting the evidence, and what's called a personal liability, saying the person owes these taxes personally, and what we abstract the judgment, meaning that we attach it to any property that they may own that may become subject to foreclosure if they don't pay it. The second avenue is what's called the straight judicial foreclosure, meaning once we take the judgment, we can go to the courthouse steps and actually sell the property. That we treat as as a last resort after we have tried to get them into some kind of payment agreement. And there are numbers in here after the payment agreements that have been executed with people. Try to get them in contact with us, try to get them in contact with Rose. And when we do kind of decide that the account merits a possible foreclosure, we always run that by your tax assessor collector. We always send the account and say, you know what, this account is getting pretty substantial, or there are many years that the person has fallen behind. And 98% of the time, we're going to get the person's attention. They're going to come to Rose and say, here's your money. Our services also extend beyond what's called state reliefs. If a person goes and files for bankruptcy, we also represent you in bankruptcy court anywhere in the country. If a property owner is out of state, out of county, out of this jurisdiction, they go and file a bankruptcy in New Jersey, in California, wherever it is that they file it. We follow them, we file your claim in whatever state or whatever jurisdiction they file for bankruptcy, and we see the bankruptcy through so that we do file a claim, and once they pay the plan, you can collect their money. And so that is one of the services that we provide, aside from the technology that we put behind you. We are one of the, if not the biggest law firm in the state, and so we are able to put those resources that a jurisdiction, for example, a jurisdiction of your size can't afford to have the big, computer servers to track people, to do their skip tracing, to generate your mailings, and so we handle all of that. And so that was kind of a very brief overview of what we do. I hope I was brief. I know you have a full agenda, and so I don't want to really take up too much of your time. But if you have any questions regarding the report or what we do, I am more than happy to answer those for you. And if not, then again, I would humbly ask you on my behalf, on David's behalf, if you would consider renewing the contract so that there is no interruption in the collection process, and we can continue this partnership that we've created over the years.
Thank you very much, Jose. I think I can speak for the rest of the board. You guys have done a great job over the years, and we'll take up the resolution when it comes due in the agenda.
Thank you very
And
much.
Johnny, I would suggest you consider this a closed session.
Closed session.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you very much. If you have any questions, I truly appreciate your time.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, any other guests that want to speak? Just the new folks here this morning?
No, sir.
No? Okay. All right, well, let's move along then. Next item on the agenda is the minutes, the June 13th meeting. Are there any additions or corrections to what's presented in your packet?
Mr. Stubbs, if I may, on the minutes for June 13th, my title is not correct. I'm not the assistant manager.
On the front page you're talking about?
Yes, sir. Where it's got the list of the directors present and others present.
You're not assistant manager, you are the manager, right? Well, who demoted you? You don't know yet? Okay. With that, I entertain a motion to approve the minutes as presented with that one correction to correct the Rose's title.
So moved.
Okay, motion, Larry seconds. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay. Mary girl? We still don't have any T-bills. What's going on with the T-bills?
We keep having issues in regards to the forms that we submit. As I explained in the last board meeting, we were missing the signature from the bank representative. She had only stamped our signature. So that was submitted, and it's been taking about 3 weeks for them to respond, and we just received a response this past week stating we need an original application with original signatures from both Mr. Reyes and myself and the bank representative. Unfortunately, this week she's out on vacation, so not until next week then we can go ahead and
We've been going on about 6 months, huh?
yes.
Well, question, just before you get started, money's in that, it's in a money market account, is it earning some interest, all of that?
It has been in regards to our checking account has been earning.
Yeah, it's in a money market account. Or it's in now again, I guess. But it is earning some interest, is it even
It is
close to
earning.
CDs?
We do have, it's almost close to
To CDs?
It is.
It's not far.
It's not
Not
a
big.
1.45, but.
It's not as big a problem as you think, but you just think, gosh dang, all that money there we need, but
Yeah.
what do you think, Mary? Are we gonna get this done, or?
Yes, we are. It's just, they're very particular in regards to their documentation. And so, I will,
They're very slow about responding.
yes, they do take a while.
And hopefully this will be the last step, that once we
Yeah,
sign,
well,
all three of us sign that original.
Right, hopefully, like you're saying, and how long does that last, or how often you have to renew it, or what, or maybe we know the procedure now, it'll be easier than next time, or is it, once it's done, unless you change?
Once it's done,
officers?
it's done. And then from there, we can go ahead and move.
Until you
funds.
change.
Correct.
All right, sorry, go ahead.
We do have both the June and July months. We can go straight to the July unless you have any questions for the June reports. The July will capture both months.
That was my thought, if that's all right for the rest of you guys. Do you have any questions of the June deal?
We've also received payments for the 2001 quarterly contract with El Paso Water, the first quarter and the second quarter. That was about 2.6 million paid.
Say again?
2.6.
That's not, that won't be reflected in these.
It won't even hardly show up in there.
Yeah, so what she's saying is that payment came in after this was done?
That'll be for the next fiscal year?
No,
For the
it's,
next-
it's
next
in
year.
arrears.
Next month's, yeah.
It's in arrears. Quarters of road. We should have a third one coming in pretty soon too.
Yes, that invoice will be going out in September.
On the balance sheet, the first page there, collection fee, which is in parentheses, why is that? I don't understand that as a current asset. It's 11,505. Not a big deal, but I'm just wondering, why would that be a negative figure?
Mr. Suggs, that shouldn't be in there. Go ahead and make the correction because it's an in and out. It's not, it is balanced. I need to look into it and see what's the status of why is it at the moment.
Because, I mean, that's a negative asset. It should be in the liabilities or something. I didn't quite understand it.
Is that part of that startup inventory too, then?
No, sir.
And collection fees payable under current liabilities? What collection fees do we pay? This is all a new format, I guess we're all trying to get.
You talking about this agreement?
No.
2105, I'm not sure what it is.
The collections fee payable is any amounts that are charged to the customer for not making payments. That account stays there until we collect, those funds stay in there until we collect from the customer and in turn issue out payment to Library.
Is that a liability for us? I don't quite understand why it's a liability.
Well, I think it's what she's saying is money that we're holding that we are liable, we have to pay out to the people that collected.
Oh, okay, that we owe.
Somebody.
Correct.
And maybe there may be court
I
costs.
understand, because I couldn't think what, but that's the fees that we have to pay is to.
It's the 15%.
No wonder, look at that figure, no wonder these guys showed up this morning.
John, I think there's several things that we need to talk about as to Linebar's proposed contract.
Okay, well,
And then that ties into what she's saying.
okay, we can do that in closed session. I was just wondering what it meant in the balance sheet, I couldn't
I
quite
think,
get a handle on
right,
it.
It's a new,
It's a
what was it?
holding, correct.
It's a whole.
Every time we assess as a customer the 15%, it's just a holding account. Once the customer has made payment, then a payment will be issued to Library.
Okay, so that's, it's a liability, and that, but I didn't know.
It's always been there, I'm trying to remember under the old charter accounts.
I just woke up though this week.
I don't know, it was probably called something different, and then we renamed it or something.
Something, I don't know, and I didn't quite understand.
But it's on this.
I do now. Anybody else have any questions of any of the accounting?
Just one, Mary, on the next section, the financial statement, the bottom line there, equipment contract. That's probably always been there too. Explain that to me.
I wondered what that was.
Well, that's mine, that's, you know what a contract, that means it's an opposite.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's a holding, well, it's another one that is ideally would be zeroed out every month, but we're more on a quarterly process with some of these reimbursables.
Okay.
So what does it mean, equipment contract?
You know, it's
Good.
the first time we've had a contra account, QuickBooks doesn't do them, so it's an accounting process. It means that normally that account would be a positive number, that expense, but it's negative here because has something to do with balancing the sheets. I'd have to get a CPA or Barry if you want to take a stab
So
at it.
contra is an accounting term, I've never.
Yeah, it's an accounting term. It was new to me too. It means counter.
Yeah, well,
So you'll see it's actually money we spent, but it shows up as negative. I was thinking for these we're trying to take an accrual sheet based on on a full double entry accounting system. QuickBooks wasn't, and this showed up because of the procedure. And we'd even talked about about just deleting that, right? It needs to actually, it shows, as you move it, it'll show up in the proper account, but it's a holding account right now that has the opposite sign on it, or what it's contrary to what it should be for the double entry accounting system. So we have two choices. We either get rid of it, or we make sure every month before we print these reports that everything's transferred out of it to its final, where it's posted, where it's supposed to be.
Yeah, well, I think my ignorance that I didn't know what contra meant, but now I'm educated.
Well, I'm not sure,
Yeah, well,
100% sure what it means. I know what contra means. I've looked, that's in the dictionary, the accounting dictionary. What we get confused about is actually how it works in terms of the balance sheets. And we know it'll go away, though, if we move this stuff to the proper
I just
account.
wondered what it was. I did too. Anything under the $500 check report? There again, there are no $500 checks.
Not even close.
Not even close, right? No question, why you guys are easy this morning.
I had a question on that. So we're going with Favens now for oil?
They didn't have it.
It depends on who gives us the best price.
Oh, you're shopping around?
Yes.
And they've come pretty good for that.
They've come down some, yes.
Good.
There we
It
go.
used to be the Tibas.
Well, the majority is Tigua.
We use statements as well when there's an emergency, if fuel cannot deliver, when
Right.
we need the fuel, we will go out to Havens.
Mhm.
On the financial statement on page 2, we added some new rows at the very bottom from the comments from 2 months ago at the board meeting. So we're trying to give you a projected numbers so that you can make sense out of all those things. So
Oh,
if
at
you
the
look,
very bottom?
yeah. So the revenue to date numbers is carried forward from the analysis in the tables, but then, of which you received 2.6 already, we project 3.9 income until the end of the fiscal. And, so that's a total for the revenue for the year will be 15 million. And, the residual, once we project the expenses to the end of the year, would be almost 5 million. So expenses will be about 5 million under revenue for this year. Which you'll need, if we talk about next year, you'll need that. So
Yep.
that comes in later in the agenda.
We may get a
Keeps
detail.
raining up there though, I've noticed that. It's raining.
It's not, well, not much getting in the reservoir. It's not, we'll get to there shortly. Bad news, that's the good news.
So we're gonna have a good antecedent moisture, so when it snows, we'll get some.
I hope.
Well, you're supposed to agree, Alan.
Well, that's coming up.
Now you know there's an engineering term.
I try to be as positive as possible.
Mary, on that $500 check, the H2O Terra LLC, boundary survey at Montoya, Maine. Who is that and what was that?
For a lawsuit, as for a suit that was filed against the district, it's on the agenda for discussion, and that was a
They're
survey.
closed, yes.
That was a survey?
It was a for surveying services for,
All right.
property in question.
And then the only one I had on the very top there, that John Deere mower with a 550K, that's the cost of just the mower, or is there a tractor with it, I hope?
Where are you?
Very top
Very top.
on July,
That was we had the tractor and we bought the mower.
and the mower by itself is 151.
No,
No.
it should be both. It should be a
I was
purchase
gonna
of
say,
a
there's
John
a
Deere.
tractor in there,
Complete
right?
tractor, right? With the motor and
Tractor with the mower, right?
with tires and everything, right?
Operator.
Yeah,
Yeah,
maybe filled with foam too.
hopefully got a couple of
Maybe
caps,
a cool tank.
two caps and one coat, you know, something like that.
We'll have to have, we could save that and ask
Okay.
the head of operations. I mean,
I
head
would
of
get a
maintenance.
cap, you know. So that
Should be in
that
the
is
budget, I
the
mean,
tractor, that is
Yes.
the tractor and everything.
That's a tractor and mower.
I can't imagine it not being, but.
I wanted to go see the mower.
Because we bought, we had a tractor and we bought a mower also, separately. To give it a quick-
So this is a brand new piece of equipment.
Yes.
Is that in the budget?
But that's both of them together. Okay.
Yes.
All right, okay.
No, yeah, he just said it was $151,000.
Yes, it was part of the budget.
Yeah, part of the capital budget.
The Hub International, like the auto and property insurance, I'm assuming it's insurance?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
It's all our insurances, and it's just the final quarterly payment.
This is the final quarter payment, right?
Yes,
And we're good now, we're gonna go to
until
next year.
we start in November.
Okay.
Any question?
No, Johnny, I'm looking at this herbicide bill that we got, and I don't know if the board's aware, you're probably aware, a lot of these weeds are becoming Roundup resistant. You guys looked into that?
Yeah, in fact, Pete's exploring with another type of,
Yeah, because I mean, I use some heavy duty Roundup with penetrators and all this on this weed, and it looked like I put damn fertilizer on it. I ain't kidding, man. You know, and I went to a different product, and I'm wondering if we're just spending our wheels wasting that money right there. Because a lot of weeds are Roundup resistant right now. Has anybody taken notice?
well, we've been getting killed because, you know, anytime we spray, we do a follow-up 2 or 3 days later to make sure that we're getting killed. So we haven't had the problem of it not
Yeah.
working.
If you see some, it may be the type of weeds that come up on the canals a little different than what you're talking
Well,
about.
they're basically the same.
They're still.
It's gonna happen.
Yeah. Well, eventually, yeah, and it may be that you want to make a mix with Roundup, something else.
Yeah, I already went, that's what
What did you use?
I use Hellfire, I use.
Which is what
It's
kind of chemical?
an adjective that you use, but it didn't work, John.
Hellfire didn't work.
Did you try AIM? We've been using a product called AIM. AIM. And it's very minute amount, it's pretty expensive. We add that to our.
What I went to was Romanson.
Your
Well,
mouth-
Romanson still works.
That's
And
an old lot, but all that does is dry up the top if you got something
Yeah,
you want to
but-
kill
but-
down below.
But it
No, it works,
It
yeah.
worked. Yeah, I was just wondering because we're spending a lot.
It's a desiccant.
I went through, I even had to live there, and we went through several things.
Yeah, that Romaxon's been around long, it's a desiccant. and it-
Yeah.
it might be good to.
Yeah,
put it
kinda-
in the
I-
ground.
kinda looked
AIM,
into that.
what is AIM?
AIM is another one that we've been using, but it requires very small amounts of it, but it's pretty expensive.
You might look into it, Julian. What it does
Product
is.
called AIM, A-I-M. We've been mixing that with our Roundup.
Well, I using the Vermont was a lot cheaper.
Yeah, Romaxon's cheap.
We're restricted on
You gotta be
herbicides
careful
we
with
use
it, yeah.
because of the water roads.
Right.
For Romaxon, you have to be kind of careful.
Carefully, that's just a.
So.
The thing about Roundup, you can drink Roundup. Seriously.
I'm pretty sure as a kid I took showers. That wasn't on purpose, but
I make you foam at the mouth.
maybe one.
Well, the point is, it doesn't hurt anything.
Yeah, no, and it's room for the aquatic.
We make sure that we get a.
But if we start adding a little something else with the Roundup and then prevent any of the problems.
Yeah.
Well, we have to check to make sure that it's approved. for the-
Well, whatever, I'm not specifically saying whichever one, the only thing is that the method in which we do it, if you can do something to prevent any of that weeds that get established, but most of the time, the weeds that we have on the canal banks are annuals, and they're not real hard to kill, they're grasses.
I haven't seen any at my farm at all, any resistance, but I'm not saying, we're in a different environment, but there's something going on.
I got that water grass is what's killing us.
The water grass,
It's become resistant.
Wow.
But I've been using
I haven't
Roundup on it
seen-
for years.
I haven't seen it on our farm, but I'm
well,
aware.
the grass, that's, the gramaxone works good on that, because it'll dry up and kill it, and it's not a perennial.
Problematic, yeah.
That won't come back.
I just bought a new sickle for my ditch.
There's an old type of herbicide that you can use, it works good, and that's called a hoe. Or it is.
Yeah, it is. It is. With the GPS, you don't have cultivator blight anymore, so.
Any other questions of Mary? On any of the reports? How come you escape so easy every week? I have to start studying this stuff.
Do we have the quarterly?
Yeah, we gotta do the quarterly investment report under item, Q, D, under 4D, quarterly investment report.
And I've already signed the original.
Okay. Do I hear a motion to approve our quarterly financial report of investments?
Second.
I would,
Larry makes a motion.
I do have one little comment. On the investments and so forth, on our CDs, we're still going out for bids and so forth from all the vendors that possibly could.
Yes.
We're still with the same player that don't.
I don't receive response from the other banks. If I do, maybe one other, and the rates are lower than what West.
And that's fine, but you publish it, you do whatever you have to do legally, as long as they're, really?
Yeah.
Thanks.
And that's why we've been working on these T-bills.
Okay, because I was hoping to get at least 1%.
Hopefully we're gonna get about 2 1/3.
Well, if we can get our T-bills, we're substantially more than, there's like 3 something in it.
Depends which ones we get, so.
So it's in the neighborhood,
Yeah,
that's pretty right.
between 2, 3, and 3, but 3 would be very good.
Right?
You know, it's twice as for
Well,
more.
we're looking at 1 and 2 years right now.
That would pay for a crane.
Yeah,
That's
it
what
would,
we need, right?
yeah, 12 months,
Green crane.
maybe 2 cranes. Where's Pete? We need 2. We just-
So we have, Larry made the motion and Art seconded to approve the report. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign, motion carried. All right, Rose. Assistant to the manager, oh no, Rose manager.
Good morning.
Morning.
So we have the month of June and the month of July. I would prefer we can cover June or just wait to July. Okay?
Well, you don't have any adjustments, do you?
No, sir, not for the
Let's
month
just
of
go to
June.
July for the reports and the adjustments. That's what I noticed, there were all
Sounds good.
the adjustments are regular, so that'll shorten it up. You can get the same result.
So we're looking at $1,337.59 in adjustments. Did you have any questions on?
You want to go to the adjustments?
Well, that's the first year.
That's the first deal.
Tax adjustments for July.
You're right. So we received that amount of money off of those suits, but there was some that weren't able to collect, so we have to adjust for that because it's not collectible.
And if you wish, we have Mr. Padilla here, the law firm of Lineberger, Goldberg, Blair, Sampson, to explain what the adjudged value is. When we recover $2,900 and we have to extinguish the rest. If you would like to extinguish.
Okay.
Good morning again, Mr. Stubbs, Mr. Padilla with the Lineberger Law Firm. Very generally, when we take a property to sale because of the foreclosure for the delinquent taxes, under the judgment and the law, there has to be one of 2 opening bids. It's either the amount of the taxes that are due, if the taxes are less than what the adjudged value is. The adjudged value is typically going to be the value assessed by the appraisal. However, if those taxes exceed the value, let's say for example, you have a property valued at 10,000 and your taxes are 15,000, the opening bid has to be the lower amount. And so when we put the property up for the 15,000 or the 10,000 instead of the 15, there is a possibility that you're not gonna collect the total amount of the taxes due. And this is strictly by the tax code. And so let's say we put that property up for 10 and only one person bids on it, and we collect the 10,000 instead of the 15. What we then have to do is we have to distribute, or actually the sheriff, because the sheriff is the one that conducts the sale, has to distribute the money in a prorated share to all of the taxing entities that are owed money under that judgment. And so the proration is gonna be less than what the amount is due to the particular district. And so that is why you would need to adjust that amount from what was actually owed to what was actually recovered. And the difference really has to be struck off from your books because
So they
because of the judgment.
can actually sell the property for less than what the tax
Yes, sir.
levy is against it.
Yes, sir. Now we do, it is a public auction, so there is a possibility that other people might bid on it to where your bid then goes to what the amount of the taxes are due, and so then everybody collects their full amount. But again, that possibility, because the law is structured that way, that we might sell it for less.
That's my point.
Yes.
It kind of astonishes me that that's, because who's taking it in the shorts of the taxing entities, the
Yes.
governmental entities.
Yes,
They're
it
not
is.
protecting that, but they're protecting the appraisal district's value.
Yes, and that is what is
You know.
presented to the court, and the court then
Yeah, but
judges.
that, the law is what it kind of amazes me.
It's written off forever, right?
Yes, yes it is, because it is what's called a judicial decree. So the judgment from the court says you're gonna sell it for this amount, and if you don't recover the full amount, then everything else is gonna be, essentially have to be struck off.
Well, but they get an interest in the property,
Yes,
they pro rata.
yes. As to the proceeds received, yes,
Right.
correct.
What do you mean, Jim? I don't know. Who get who's using for that?
Well, see, when they hardly ever, I don't know of any suits they file independently just for the district. They file suits for many taxing entities. Okay, and then they take a judgment, and the judgment is in favor of all those taxing entities. And then they strike it off, or it's struck off, and the entity shares a portion to their amount. So if you're owed 1,000, and another tax entity is owed 10,000, that other tax entity gets an interest that's 10 times greater than yours.
No, I understand that, but you said the interest, that we got an interest in the land after all of this.
That's what I'm saying, that's what I just
But
said.
it's interest in the proceedings, not after the fact that it's a judgment. We don't have an interest in that land that later it sells, we get something out of it. I mean,
Once-
a higher price.
Yeah, once it's sold at the auction, then the
It's
new
not,
owner
or-
is
or is
not
it?
gonna take that land subject to the difference to that.
My question was, he said we had an interest in the land, and I was wondering,
It's in the
What he
proceeds.
meant.
I
It's in
think
the
those, when you talk about the
Yeah,
interest
it's
is when the
just-
property is struck
but
off.
yeah, it's
Or
just
taxing
thinking,
entity.
yeah.
Okay, yeah, when the property is struck off, when we talk about strikeoffs, is when nobody bids on it at the sale. And so when nobody bids on it at the sale, then it becomes property of all of the taxing units to be held in trust by, it's usually gonna be the city, but if the water district is also a plaintiff in the property, they do have their proportionate share of the interest. So when it goes up for resale, and when we put it back up again, yeah, that interest is going to carry on the land, subject to the resale proceeds.
Right, if it's not sold, I understand that.
Let me ask a couple of questions. You understand that the water district is a political subdivision of the state of Texas,
Yes, sir.
and our taxes are generally laid on the benefit basis
Correct.
and the use basis
Yes.
of water. Question whether that use base, whether the use charge for water is a tax or not. If you read the water code, we're subject to chapter 55 of the water code,
Yes,
and I've never known for sure whether I think that the water use is a lien. I hope it is, but I just don't know from reading the
it
code.
is, sir, and I've read that quite often, and the answer to that is there is a provision in the water code that says when it comes to assessment and collection matters, the tax code
Right.
is going to govern, and so when the tax code levies a lien on the property, then the water district has a lien as well.
Let's leave it at that.
Any other
We
questions?
don't want any more bids.
I'm gonna advise them in a closed session not to accept this provision that says we agree to arbitrate any disputes with you. I would never agree on any arbitration.
Well, that's between you and the district.
No, that's in your contract.
Yes, it is part of our provisions in the general contract. but
Okay,
that's-
I just want you to know that I'm going to advise them not to agree with the arbitration provision.
And I appreciate you informing that. Thank you very much.
All right.
That's all, thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, Rose, you're back on. All right, Rose.
So, did we have any questions on the total? So we have 1,300.
I understood that top part, how about the bottom part?
Oh, the bottom
The
part.
Morales,
We're
Delgado,
talking about,
Garcia.
Yes, sir. There's 1, 2, 3, 5 parcels. This is Region Manor, unit number 3, where the property has been sold, but the waterways have been reserved. We have been notified that the waterways were reserved, but we failed to change the mailing address. So the notice was being sent to the property owner, rather the one that is
Now,
reserved.
what's
for
this about
waterways.
water rights reserved?
Yes, sir.
What is that, what are you talking about?
Exactly.
Why do you do that?
Exactly right, yeah. It's not, it's the right to use water, Jim, you're aware of it, believe me.
Okay.
Okay. You gotta be very careful, Mr. Spearback, in the terminology. You can't say water rights, you gotta say the right to water. If you don't, he'll call your attention to it. What I don't understand, you're asking us to write these off, well, the person that reserved them is supposed to pay them.
But they have notified us that the mailing address should be to L2.
Doesn't matter if we send it to the wrong address, somebody, I mean, why are we responsible?
Because they did render the property, they did provide the mailing address, and we failed.
But they still owe the taxes, whether we notify them
No, the
now or 10
taxes,
days.
the taxes were paid, but we're removing his penalty and interest.
Okay, okay. Read the deal, okay.
Okay.
I understand that, right. If I'd read it, I'd understand it, right?
No problem.
That's why you're here, to take care of me. Thank you, okay. Did anybody have any trouble with any of these adjustments now that you understand what they're about? If not, I'd entertain a motion to approve them.
So moved.
Art makes a motion, Larry seconds, all in favor say aye, all opposed same sign. Motion carried.
In our next report, we have the El Paso Water Utilities and Lower Valley Water District assignments plus the taxes. And we still receive payment for delinquent taxes of public service for Lower Valley Water District. We are working with Lower Valley Water District. Hopefully they'll come through and pay us delinquent taxes.
Sounds like you're making good progress.
Yes, yes. Yeah, actually, we're in a.
Yeah, we have a commitment from the general manager to budget for this coming year.
For them to pay delinquent taxes, like the city does. That way they're gonna get a lot more,
Water is more.
they're gonna get a lot more assignments, you know. Which will relieve our problem, and it's not gonna help you guys any, Okay.
Did you have any questions on that?
Anybody have any questions?
On our comparison, our next report is the 2016-2017 tax assessments. We are trailing a bit. Present, we are at 98.227% versus last year at the same time, we were at 98.31%.
Sort of round off here.
Don't be so hard on yourself.
I'd say those are the same numbers.
Yeah, the difference in the actual dollars, you couldn't even buy a Starbucks with. Of course, that's a lot of money, man, Starbucks.
And that's all I have.
Okay, Rachel, thanks a million, you always do a good job, we appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, General Manager.
Okay. On item A, after months of negotiating with the Socorro city manager and then I went and gave a presentation to their city council, we finally came to an agreement on their crossings. We utilized the same amount as we had negotiated with the city of El Paso on their crossings. So we received, city council approved it that night that I was there making the presentation. Their attorneys, Mr. Berkelback and Jim Martinez, had no opposition to it, but they approved it, and so we got our first check for $109,500 from the city of Socorro 2 weeks ago. The total amount is $328,500. It's a 25-year license to be paid in 3 yearly payments. So,
Great job.
Yeah,
That was-
we discussed all this with you.
Everybody's good, you recommend it,
yes, and
and
we, so now we've moved on. I've had a conversation with one of the assistant county attorneys for the county of El Paso, so we're going to move on with the county of El Paso.
Huge.
Yes.
Managed, fixing a lot of crossings.
So we're hoping that we can set something up for next week with them so we can start off.
Yeah,
Good job. Good.
you know, it's probably, we're doing the inventory right now like we did with Socorro, so, but the number of crossings aren't as many as you'd think because we have to take out all, the city's expanded so much, especially in the Upper Valley over the years, and so all those are covered in the city, and Socorro, of course, takes out a big chunk now. And so it's mainly gonna be down in the most southern part that we get most of them. We're also working with them, it's a little bit different because we've got a unique relationship with the county on maintenance issues. So they have the capability, none of the other ones, other than the city does this, have the ability to actually participate in the maintenance of those roads with us when we repair. As you know, Pete's back there someplace, the brief fee on a lot of our projects that we do where they pay for the materials and we pay for the labor. So that one probably got a slightly different relationship with the county than everybody else. Makes sense, too.
do we need to make a motion for this?
Just on the approval of the final.
You all had already, we had brought it to you all and you knew that we were negotiating, so.
Yeah, we followed, you guys had input last time, I don't think we had a formal resolution last time.
No, we have it listed on the license agenda and on section 11. The city of Socorro, you're asking.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, we have it.
please just for information.
Yeah, that's,
Just to bring it to our,
I
yeah,
think
we brought it, it was a couple of months back.
And I think my engineer owes me a steak dinner for this, for getting this done.
At least two?
Is it for the whole board?
I thought.
I can include.
yeah, I'm already up to about 10 or 15 of those.
No, we've never collected one over.
But this negotiation was done as a standalone, basically it's specific to this
To Socorro.
Socorro,
Socorro.
nothing more, because.
Yeah, this is Socorro.
Right,
Okay, we don't set precedents, okay, good.
yes. It was a huge step because
Yeah,
Well, yeah, the only correction I said is that he said it took months, it's more like 4 years.
Yeah, it's gonna be years.
well, 0 + 0 is 0, so
Well,
that we have.
once we started meeting with this city manager, I mean, she really,
That's great news.
Came to
Good
the
job,
table.
guys. Appreciate it.
Great job.
and then item B is Texas Water Development Board grants. I received the grants, I signed them, sent them back. I just received them again this last week. They've been signed by their CEO.
That was quick.
And so we're ready to start on the engineering of the riverside. You all know how important that is from Wasteway 1 to Wasteway 2. We're hoping that once we do our engineering, we can.
Do we know any good engineers?
I think
I've heard of one.
I've got one or two.
In mind?
I don't know. Right now, it's the good surveyor is what we need. So the first thing is we've already gone out for a request for price quotes. Surveying's professional services, the board can select that based on the merits or the capabilities of the surveyor. So we'll bring you 3 names next board meeting.
Once we do this, and this is completed, then we qualify if we want to go after those loans that they're funding, or the grant. Everything will be set and ready to go and go after grants.
That's great.
To continue concrete lining.
I'd rather go for grants myself than loans, but.
You didn't say that?
You knew I was gonna say that. I second that one.
And then the second grant is for upgrading our telemetry system. And we've even been talking about maybe upgrading our meters on our wells with telemetry, so that Robert could get online and keep track of those and knows when an engine goes off or knows exactly how much they're pumping. So it'll be a pretty nice little grant.
That'd be great.
Yeah, okay, for part, we haven't really discussed, we've discussed that for the wells for years, on and off again, and with the forecast being what it is, I think it'd be really valuable. Robert probably talked to it more, but this basically we put all, we're not gonna control the engines, because there's problems with that. You know, you can remotely start and stop, but I don't recommend that, because somebody needs to be there to see if there's something wrong with the engine or vandalism. But we would put all of the flow meters on self-service, so that we would get the instantaneous flow whenever they turned on.
They'd have Robert.
Yeah, he'd be able to see them on his sites. And if he told the field guys to turn on 12, he'd tell them the 12 actually got turned on. See the
And the
cumulative.
amount of water they're producing.
The amount of water.
That's a big thing, to know what.
Plus also, it's all go in a database, so that I could use it to see as when a well needs to be replaced. You can see it as it goes down. Performance stuff.
On item C, I'd like to move that to the close, if that's all right with the board, since we're gonna talk,
Yeah, as part of the closed session agendas.
that's it.
And stuff.
Then,